Hello and welcome to Clusters. We're looking at Acts 27 this week, which is one of the most thrilling and exciting chapters in the Bible. A remarkable story of near disaster and astonishing survival. At the end of chapter 26, King Herod Agrippa II declares that Paul would have been released from prison had he not already appealed to the emperor. And so the long journey across the Mediterranean from Caesarea to Rome begins. At first, all is plain sailing. Luke is with Paul, hence the use of the word we when describing the events, and also a man called Aristarchus from Thessalonica. He's mentioned as being among Paul's travelling companions way back in chapter 19. He's also mentioned as being Paul's fellow prisoner in his letter to the Colossians, which was probably written from his prison cell in Rome. And so they sail around Cyprus, making stops along the southern coast of modern-day Turkey. You can follow their route on maps you can find online, or maybe even in the back of your Bible. But as they approach the port of Cnidus in southwestern Turkey, they start encountering a strong headwind and can't land there. So they head south for Crete, eventually taking shelter at the pleasant-sounding Fair Havens on the south coast. By now it was late September, mid-October, when Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, is celebrated. Perhaps from his extensive travelling experience, Paul warns the centurion who's been sent to ensure that the prisoners reach Rome to wait. But he's ignored, and they set sail once again, this time heading for the more protected port of Phoenix a little further west. But very quickly a massive storm blows up, of hurricane force, Luke tells us, and drives them south. In the lee of the island that today is called Gavdos, but was then known as Corda, they manage to secure the lifeboat by dragging it aboard the vessel, and then they tie ropes around the ship to try to hold it together. For ages the boat is driven west. Nobody eats or sleeps for days, and Luke's description of their plight is quite breathless. But Paul tells them that an angel has assured him that everyone will survive the ordeal. Eventually they run aground on a sandy beach, and everyone does indeed survive. All 276 crewmen, soldiers and prisoners. So impressed is the centurion with Paul that he prevents the soldiers from carrying out a plan to kill all the prisoners to stop them escaping. It's an incredible story of survival against all the odds, but also an example of God's rescue and providence as he ensures his plan for Paul to preach in Rome is fulfilled. Next time, we learn about the group's adventures in Malta and what happens when they finally reach their destination, the magnificent city of Rome. In the meantime, next week we'll be meeting as a church to discuss the fallout from and our response to the recent vote in Synod. It'll be great to see you there, so until then, have a great cluster.